Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, StrangeNet here. So today I want to talk about planetary interaction, and it's a topic that I've never really covered on this channel because I've never really thought that I had enough to speak about, but I've never really done it. However, I started doing it in January of this year, and yeah, I'm ready to have a bit of a dive in and gather some thoughts from you guys on what it is that you do, why you do it, and is it worth it? So as I say, I've only been at this a couple of months, I'm no expert. Any tips or suggestions would be greatly appreciated if you have anything to share. But basically I try and put as little effort into this while extracting as much as I can. And to level with you, I don't particularly enjoy planetary interaction, and I often question whether it is actually worth my time. So I have a very simple and easy setup. It's one that I got off the internet, and at the moment the planets have run out. I do like the fact that they can be done anywhere, but all in all I don't take a lot of time rejigging my planets. I don't move them around at all. As I said, I want the most out. I don't often move the extractors around. I usually have it on a 3-day extraction cycle. For anybody that's not really up and fay with planetary interaction, I may do a video of setting up planets, etc. But basically it's it's pretty much a sub game on EVE Online for acquiring some minerals while not doing a huge amount. It kind of works in the background, but we'll assume that everybody here knows what planetary interaction actually is. So I have it on a 3-day cycle, and as I say, I don't generally move stuff about because it doesn't make that big a difference unless it's really getting bad. So at the moment we're bringing in a total of 2 million units over the course of 3 days. I can probably boost that up slightly, but again, it's like, is it really worth it? This one might be, because obviously we've just increased it there by 500,000 units. And again, start. Now, what I do like about planetary interaction is that it can be done anywhere. It can be started from anywhere. I'll rephrase that. So at the moment, I'm not in the, I'm in Horde's main staging area, and the area that I'm doing is not there. So you can jig it around, move them to really gain that extra. But again, I don't often find that it's really worth it. As I said, I have it on a 3-day cycle, and I find that's enough for me. I could extend it out. I'm not always on it. Sometimes I miss the 3 days. I'm not that fussed. Again, it's an extra that I like to do when I'm on fleet ops, or when we're station bashing, or when I'm doing something that doesn't really require a huge amount of attention, and then I can just do this in the background, start my planets running, and everybody is good, and I'm making a little bit of this from basically doing not a great deal. That's the things I like about planetary interaction, the fact that it can be done at your own pace, out and about, without taking up too much time initially. So again, we're pulling in 2 million units from each and every one of these planets. So the first question is it actually worth it? And this is a question that I've bobbed backwards and forwards a few times on, because it's not always about maximizing the amount of ISK that I can make from every activity. If I enjoy the activity, I don't really mind, to an extent, how much I'm making. Obviously, I try and make as much as possible. So with abyssal sites, I actually enjoy running abyssal sites. So I can potentially run T6s, but they're a lot more stressful. There's potential for risk, etc. But obviously the reward is good. I generally prefer T4s and T5s because that risk to reward ratio it's not stressful to run for me. It brings in enough ISK that I'm happy with it, and it's an activity that I enjoy. Where planetary interaction, on the other hand, I don't particularly enjoy. It's setting it up. I don't enjoy having to go in every couple of days, and I don't enjoy having to go and get the goods and taking it back. It is kind of ISK that just ticks away in the background, and when I think about it, it's like, oh, I can go pick it up, and there's some ISK sitting there ready and waiting. So far, since the new year, I've currently got ready to move 3.3 billion ISKs worth here. I've moved about 700 million, so we've got about 4 billion ISK, and now that was over 5 characters mostly. 4 to 5, I've been trading up another 1, so we've now got 6. But again, I wasn't 100% sure whether or how I'd get on with it. So at the moment, they're only trained to level 5, 4 even. Just due to the fact that I didn't want to spend, well, an extra 20, 40, 60, 70 days getting everything maxed if it wasn't going to be something I was particularly into. And I'm still on the fence. I have another 4 characters that I could train up for this. But again, it does become quite a chore to execute and get the materials back, because you have to go to each and every customs office, collect it, And what, I think I have to do that every 12 or so days. So it's not terrible, but again, it is a bit of a bind if your characters are scattered. They all have to kind of come together. Yada, yada, yada. It's a bit of a bind. So a little bit of quick maths. We're extracting 2 million units per 3 days, and for every 3,000 units of the material that go in, I get 20 units out. So 2,000 divided by 3,000 times 20 times the price of whatever it is that's coming out. So what, oxygen, we'll say 500 ISK per unit. So it gives us, over the course of 3 days, 6.6 million. And obviously if we divide that by 3, we're coming out at 2.2 million ISK per planet. I've got 5 planets, which gives, what, 11 million ISK per day. Not terrible when all's said and done, considering I don't have to do anything now for the next 12 days other than start the planet reaction cycle once its 3 days is up. So basically we've got 2 days and 23 hours, and then I'll basically have to go in, reset it, and basically it does it until the launch pad is full, and then obviously you have to go collect it. That's the bind. You get 10,000 M3, and you'll need pretty much an epitome in order to go collect it, but that's only every 12 days. So yeah, that's not too bad. So I keep this set up as basic as possible. Basically I pull it straight out of the ground, and then I basically turn it into the tier 1 material. I don't do tier 2, 3, 4 or 5. And that is generally because A, having to move all the stuff around. So I could pull it out this planet and ship it to a building planet where it'll all go in and stuff will come out and it'll become tier 2. Now, that would fry my brain because currently I have, what, 30 planets, and the logistics of that and just moving stuff around and making sure everything's full, and that's too much work for me. I don't need that, and I don't want that. And it generally doesn't seem to be worth the time. Now, I had a little go at making some of the tier 2 stuff, but generally I'm not finding it worth the while. And that in order to obviously make nanites, for instance, you need bacteria, and I think it's precious metals. Let's have a look. Yeah, and that makes you nanites, and your nanites can make other stuff, and so on, and that makes you tier 4s. Tier 4 is the highest, not tier 5 that I said earlier, my mistake. But all in all, one of the big bonuses with obviously combining the stuff together is it makes the M3 less. So it takes more M3 to produce than you get out. So basically it compresses it, is what I'm saying, which can be advantageous for jumping, because obviously you can see here that we've got 1.2 million M3 to shift, and obviously that can be a bit of a pain. I'll be jump freighter in this, so it's not that big a pain for myself, but you know, if you are in low sec or in a wormhole, then I can understand why you might want to build to the other tiers just to make it worthwhile. And this is where my confusion starts, because a lot of people say, oh yeah, you know, you need to turn it into the higher tiers, make ISK, yada yada yada. So we've got bacteria. We're going to be looking at nanites, just due to the fact that I had nanites. So you need, they're 505 ISK each, and you need 40 of them. So add that to memory, and then we need the reactive metals, which is 49 times. So instead of just taking the raw materials straight back and selling them, we're going to turn them into nanites, which will cost 500k. We divide that by 5, and we are looking exactly at 10,000 ISK a piece. Okay, so you're pretty much breaking even. Yeah, but you've got taxes from your POCOs, and you've got tax for selling, but all in all we are breaking even, but it makes it easier to transport it. So this is where I start getting slightly confused, because although I'm not losing any ISK, so I've got now one planet set up dedicated to produce using the reactive metals and the bacteria to turn it into nanites, which brings me out at exactly where I could have sold it anyway. So what is the point in me reacting it to tech or tier 2 when I can just, and bearing in mind now that I'm reacting it on this planet, I can't now pull anything out of that planet. So I'm actually losing 2 million ISK per day. for every planet that is dedicated to making these nanites, which, as we've seen, comes out at the exact price at what I can sell them for. So that doesn't make a great deal of sense. So let's have a look at the tier 3. So let's have a look if we turn it into the tier 3, the bio research reports. How much do they go for? Roughly 100k. They drop quite considerably, haven't they? So 100k. How much does it cost to make? So we need 10 times 10 construction, 10 times livestock, and 10 times nanites, or roughly so 300. So divided by 3, so 100k a piece, which is exactly what they come out at. Now, the issue that I start getting here as well is you generally have a tax to take the stuff out of the POCOs. So if you're 300k, even if it's a 5% tax, you're still losing 15k every time you use or take it out to transport it. So now actually we are losing ISK, and that's not including the tier 2 stuff that we had to pay tax on. And then if you turn it into the tier 4, you'll have to pay even more. Well, you don't pay more tax, but you pay more overall on the percentage wise. So you're actually losing money the higher you go up. Now I can understand this again if you're in low sec or wherever you are, because transportation can be a pain. So the conclusion I've generally come to is, yes, I don't like planetary interaction. However, I do it as quickly and as painlessly as possible, with doing none of the intermediates, keeping it as straightforward as I can. And again, I make 2 million ISK per planet, 11 million ISK per day, times 6 characters. So I make 66 million ISK a day at present. And you know what? I can kind of live with that. That's what, 2 billion ISK a month? With as little hassle as possible. Now, I do see wonderful things on Reddit about people making an absolute fortune. They're making 1 billion ISK here, there and everywhere. And although there is half decent ISK to be made, I haven't found that you can really ramp it up by you going up the tiers. I don't find that you make any ISK that way, as we've just shown. But generally, if you're going to do it, you go up. You actually lose value by doing it, minus obviously the transportation costs. But if transportation is not that much of an issue, then you're losing ISK. So that's my general take. That again, it's about 2 million ISK per planet on a decent planet in nullsec. Now high sec and the rest of them, I've never done it, so I can't say. But yeah, some of the amounts seem high, and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. Again, so I say I've not been doing it a particularly long time. This is just where I've gotten to so far. Now, as I said, I don't want a massive amount of extra work, so it could be that I am limiting myself or I'm missing something. I don't know. But again, if anybody can aid me or help me out there, then it might be appreciated. If I obviously use that technique, but I can't see where I'm going wrong, or if I'm doing anything wrong, or just other people's monetary value that they make is massively overinflated, which is a good possibility. People do like to do that. Cough, cough. But yeah, so I am not a fan of planetary interaction, but I am currently doing it, and it does give me a bit of extra spending money every month, just in case I need it. So I don't enjoy it, but I still do it, oddly enough. And that's my current take on planetary interaction. Now, I might do a video of setting up the planet. It's relatively straightforward now, but I've got my head around how it all works and why it works, and I pretty much can explain that in a video if anybody is interested. And if that is the case, drop something in the comments, whatever, and yeah, I'll see if I can get around to doing a quick tutorial on how to set up a basic planet. So with that, thanks for your time, thanks for listening. I hope to see you again soon.